Hello and welcome to the Delicious Recipe here, Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are here on UPRN, and if you're watching live, you can check us out on UFO Paranormal Radio, UFO Paranormal Radio, that's on YouTube, or the other one is UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials. You can check us out on Facebook on my site there, The Delicious Recipe, or Joe Montaldo's site on Facebook there too. Also, you can be listening along on Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeart. No, there's a whole bunch of them. Anywhere podcasts are played, there, just look for UPRN and look for the Delicious Recipe, and you'll find the show. And tonight, there, I tailored this one: coffee or tea. It's a little bit in that. And like I say on the Delicious Recipe, we throw everything in the pot and we see how it tastes at the end. And maybe you find an ingredient or something that's in there that tickles your fancy, or maybe there's something not. But you know what? It's all just information, just to go into the pot. So I want to welcome back Aage Nost. He was on there back I think it's almost a year ago there, or less than a year ago there, and we're just going to go and just talk about random subjects there. And also, I want to also mention there, Aage Nost has his own podcast there too. Uh, uh, oh, geez, I'm going to get Alpha. I'll let you say what it is because I keep on screwing up the names there. Welcome, Aage.
Yeah, you get tongue tied over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit about that. Nordy Love and I, we are running the show, the broadcast team Alpha.
That's it. I was keep on going Alpha Broadcast Team. I was going, oh, no, that's not
Yeah,
right.
that's close, but no
Yeah,
cigar.
yeah.
So now you can find us on YouTube, of course, under the same name, Broadcast Team Alpha, and we're talking about all the stuff that you are not supposed to know about.
And there
And
you go.
that gets deep sometimes, and we have some wonderful guests. And besides that, we are doing a mastermind group, and I want to mention that for the next 35 seconds so I can get it out there so
Mhm.
people can know. And we put together a mastermind group of incredible minds, and we are looking for more minds. So if you are interested to do some incredible things with your mind, come and join us. Send us an email to the mastermind connection at gmail.com. That is the mastermind connection at gmail.com. And I'll send you some information, and you can participate and have some fun. We're bending the laws of physics sometime in order to get things that we have done. We've done a lot of things with helping somebody recover from horrible health situations,
Yeah,
as doing other things that not supposed to happen according to Newtonian physics.
yeah. Well, I checked it out there before, and I was a part of one or two of those. That's very interesting, and I implore anybody that's listening there today to go and check that out. It's be interesting to see what you can do because you got to figure everything is energy. So when
Yep.
you bring a large group of people, energy like thinking together, some things can end up happening. That's the whole thing about what the church actually even thinks about there when they have large prayer groups and services when they're healing people. They go through that part about people with energy and that. Well, if you believe that or not, but that was part of it.
Well, sometimes healings like that can work
Hmm.
because not what they understand, because in a church you really are pretty limited to what you can understand because of the doctrine that you are submerged in.
Hmm.
But the thing is that quantum mechanics now has proved to us as a fact that we live in a mind created universe and everything is connected.
Right.
So we are connected with the one that we are trying to do healing with.
Hmm.
So if we are using the language of the quantum in order to help the person heal himself,
Hmm.
it can work. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things we're doing on the mastermind, and it happens quite often. So,
Yeah, that's very interesting. This is going to go well. It sort of goes along the same topic as during the part with during this pandemic there, where they stopped having family members go to see loved ones that were in the hospital because they were blocking it all off and stuff like that. They found that when that certain places there allowed loved ones to come in, and it was just the touch and the words, the vibration and the feeling in that a lot of people recovered up from that negative space that they were all alone. They felt that connection, and they actually do. There's actually been studies on that by that's the whole reason that you talk to coma patients in a way. There's you spend time and you talk and you're hoping and sending energy and love towards them and trying to raise their vibration to sort of bring them out of that fog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. When it comes to energy wise, the hospital is the worst place you can possibly go to next to a mortuary.
Mm-hmm.
There is nobody with a good attitude, and in a hospital, people die in there. Everybody's sick. It brings the energy down to somewhere close to the bottom of the barrel.
Right. Yeah, well, I totally agree with you there. Period. I
Yeah,
like I definitely hate. I do need whatever to go there for medical whatever stuff like that. But I would never want to stay there. I want to get in and out of there as fast as I can. Like it's just that's just the way it is, and I think that's right. I think that it goes the same thing with a lot of these old age homes and that where they're basically you dropped off your elder parents and they're sort of left there, and you come and somebody will come and visit them like once a month or once a year, and they're basically what do they have left out of it? And I guess it gets really sad there with people when you have elderly people that end up with stuff like dementia or Alzheimer's, and they start forgetting about who they are, but they just sort of they need that human contact of family and stuff like that to sort of know that there's this connection there. And I think that's a great thing that you're. I think what the part of the mastermind is that you're creating a collective. If I'm right, that you're all thinking and sharing energy towards something to help a positive outcome towards something
yeah,
or someone. Yeah.
yeah. I've been known to give doctors and hospitals and allopathic medical care, I mean, disease care system, a bad rap. In
Oh,
some
really?
ways, they deserve it, but on the other hand, I'll tell you, when it comes to emergency medicine, they can do miracles. They
Mm-hmm.
can absolutely, they save people's life every day. And let's face it, if I broke my leg, I'll go see a doctor, because the herbalist, I'll send them right out the door. I have no use for them.
Right.
You need a doctor for certain things, and
Yeah.
that is what they're good at, and they do just miracles.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not necessarily by that term, but
Yeah.
good things.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Like I'm not for people out there listening, not discounting doctors and hospitals and that exactly what you said. There, it's there for a certain purpose, but there's other things that it can be other ways that things can happen. And I was just thinking about the whole part about the placebo effect, where how the mind is so much stronger than the medicine, and how things can turn around. I think there was a story about a guy. I think it was he actually even talked about on one of Joe Rogan's podcasts, and what a guy was. He was taking the medicine. He was in a study. It was a double blind or triple blind study, and this guy comes in there, and he's got like he's all these aches and pains, his shortness of breath, his blood pressure's through the roof. He can't. He's almost like he thinks he's dying. They go in there and they go, "Oh, what have you been taking?" He says, "I took too many of these pills." And the doctor says, "Okay." They look up the number on the thing there. They call, get the doctor, rush him down there that was doing the study, and he goes, "Hey, you're just taking sugar pills. Like you're not even on the medicine." And then when 30 minutes later, boom, everything changed. The guy was up, boom, walked out of the hospital. And that's the sort of the power of the mind it can have
Yeah,
on the body, I guess, in a way. And it's sort of, I guess they would say, mind over matter. I guess one of the old sayings.
yeah, yeah. It
So,
works that way.
mm, so part there I wanted to talk about a little bit, and you can touch into this because I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of other people talking about CERN. They just turned this thing back on again, and I guess they found three new particles in there, and a lot of people were conspiracy-wise thinking that they're trying to open up a black hole or open up a dimensional portal or trying to find the God particle or something like that uh, into the world. So there's a lot of negative Nancy's out there, I guess you would say, that sort of really sort of looking at this like they're doing evil things. Well, they could be doing things that they don't know the outcome of that could cause really a detrimental effect. But what are they actually really doing at CERN?
Well, I don't worry about CERN because, first of all, they're not going to be able to destroy anything from me because I have designed my future and that's the way it's going to be. And I just laid in the timeline. Though I would say, just for a novelty here, there were one, I think there was the deputy director of the CERN operations. He was speaking before the European Union in a kind of like an explanation of what they were going to do. So he said, the first thing he said when he came and got to the microphone, he says, I have to apologize to you all. He says, we destroyed the universe, so we are in an alternate timeline right now. And then he went on and talked about what he was going to talk about. So you wonder, was he joking or was there something to this? I understand enough of time that if they were to destroy the universe, that is exactly what would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because several reasons. Let's go back a little bit. I'm going to have to lean on quantum mechanics here. The concept, I'm going to leave the equations alone because I lose myself.
Right.
But quantum mechanics show clearly we live in a mind created universe. And what that means is that whatever you see around you, including this desk, your painting behind you on the wall, everything in your environment is created by the mind. So now, what does the mind create? Does it create iron? Does it create wood? Does it create paint? No, it creates thought images.
Mm-hmm.
And thought images are energy. We have also been told, and that's also proven in Newtonian physics, that energy does not go away, it is only changing form.
Correct. Yeah.
So, if they were to destroy the universe, all the thought energy around the world for close to 8 billion people, it might be 7 or close now if they got
Right.
will, and they want to destroy kill off a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say 7 or 8 billion people creates a lot of thought energy. It cannot go away.
Mm-hmm.
It goes somewhere. And there are some of those people with powerful enough minds that understand that they want it to go to a parallel universe
Right.
or parallel timeline, which actually would be a not necessarily another universe because we have different timelines within the same one. We can have lived different levels of existence within the same universe.
Mm-hmm.
So we would not perish if they just blew up the whole thing. Our energy, mind energy, would continue in a form of possibly first a new timeline
Okay.
that may not necessarily have had a beginning until that time when they blew things up.
Okay.
But it would have the memory of what came with it from the other timeline that went bad.
Okay.
So we may not be able to see the difference. And the time traveler thing could go back and visit 1931 if he wanted to, because it is there as expressions of thought in form of visual and audible and all kinds of different images that we
Mm-hmm.
create with our mind. I don't know if this makes any sense, but it
Oh no,
does.
it does. It sort of explain like if people are listening out there, the part about they talk about this in the Marvel universe about going back into time and then branches go off and segments, and if this one's destroyed, similar things are happening with different circumstances through the different ones, and it just creates off there another branch.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That was sort of the way they sort of explained it in the Marvel universe. I guess there's a lot of theory about time travel, but the part is, I guess, out of this goes into another part that we were talking about is about this project Looking Glass, and this big thing that they have to get things done by 2030.
Yeah, that's what we hear somebody say.
Yeah.
The reason they came up with 2030 is because they failed in completing everything they wanted to do by 2021. That's where the term Agenda 21 come about.
Right.
They wanted to have a total enslaved world by 2021. And oh boy, I better ask you, are you going out on YouTube or Facebook with this show?
Oh, on mine there, yes, we are. Yeah.
Well, then I'm going to be a little more diplomatic from now on.
Okay.
Yeah. So they failed. So they had to set another date. That's become the end date now.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say I'm not going to worry about it because it's not going to affect me. Everybody, just about everybody I know out there had some type of challenge with what happened during the last 2 years. I never had any challenge. I never used one of those things you put across your face once. And I
Mm-hmm.
had never had any challenges. And I wasn't stupid enough to hurt my arm, so I I didn't do that either. So I am
Yeah.
perfectly all right the way I are.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah. That's well, the one thing I did have to for work, I did have to just comply with one thing there, but yeah, no pricks. But the thing is, though, is that this is this comes in this whole part about this. Well, if we would talk about, say, the Agenda 2030, the part that comes out of there, they had a whole bunch of things that the list of items that they wanted to have done, or they want to have done by, and a lot of it deals with it's basically is enslavement in a way. It's taking away basically freedoms in that, putting in social credit systems, getting rid of cash, putting it all into the credit, basically putting everything into the machine, into the computer, and that's sort of we're seeing it even here in because I'm in Canada and we have JT and the Muppet Gang. That's what I call them there. That is running the show over here in Canada, and they're really trying to push this uh, build back better, or not even build back better, but the new reset or whatever you can call it, whatever you want. But there was like a changing the way that we do things, and it's all been in little increments. And this is the whole thing. Is the term boiling a frog is basically what has been going on, and people don't notice that these
Yeah.
little things have been going. I've been talking about this for 3 years since I started this show about changes that have been happening that are non-essential, but are actually little steps to take away more and more of your freedoms.
Yeah.
And in here in Canada, like and taxation, inflation, and all that. That's all government created, and
Yeah.
that's just a negative drain on, I guess, your own energy, personal energy, and your feelings and everything. Then how you live your life. That's sort of I don't know. You can sort of look at it that way. It's just it's another negative thing. I understand that you have to. There is part of taxation that's done. Like the taxation started here, I think, in around the First World War, 1918, 1920 there, and that was to go and to build back uh, from the war effort to do that. It was only supposed to be a temporary thing, but once the government takes hold and says temporary, it's never that's permanent. It never ever goes away.
Never goes away. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's for sure. And they are accelerating the process now because they know they are in the process of losing.
Mm-hmm.
And they want things in place before they totally lose control. So
Right.
they're hoping they'll be able to keep it that way. Globally, right now, they are enforcing or trying to enforce so far in this country, but in other countries, they are enforcing it by law that, like in Italy and Spain, I read foreign newspapers, so I see this stuff.
Yeah.
And they no, you cannot do any business transaction with anything from 100 euros and up with cash. It has to be by a debit card or credit card.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the pretend president in the United States, he also now just passed, or should I say, wrote an executive order demanding that within just a few months here, I think there was a date on it, they are going to institute a cryptocurrency in the United States and cash will be done away with.
Really?
It's coming, and we got to prepare for it. So there's one thing, there's two hairs in the soup, and that is that people still own gold and silver and platinum
Mm-hmm.
and other precious metals, as well as about 10% of the population now have cryptocurrencies.
Right.
These will not go away. They're not going to be able to do it because the major banks around the world, they have invested billions in cryptocurrencies.
Oh, really,
And
eh?
think we know that the politicians, they're prostitutes for the banks, so they're not going to hurt their paymasters.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing that I saw is, and I was always questioning this. It says, why was this big, huge push in the U.S. and they're doing it here in Canada as well to go electronic vehicle, and it makes like we don't have it like here in Canada. We don't have enough charging stations or not enough infrastructure built that you could do that. Vehicles only go. I think the best one does 600 miles, but you still you still need to go and put a station at your house, so you're gonna pay for electricity at your house to charge your vehicle, or pay for electricity to charge your vehicle when you're out, or at the place that you work have to have something charged. This is a huge thing. And what creates the electricity? Fossil fuels for the most part, nuclear, coal. There's some hydro plants that are around that do stuff, but that's still another huge because you can't charge off of solar. Solar it takes forever to charge something. It's not quick.
Yeah.
And
Let me say something about those electric vehicles. For those of you out there that has bought an electric car, you have figured this out by now because nobody have talked about it except for the ones that own those cars.
mm-hmm.
And that is that if you have a 500-mile range on your car, which I don't know if anybody have that much yet, but maybe let's say 500, and you are in Canada, the temperature drops so that you can hardly see the red in the thermometer anymore.
Yeah.
And you're going to use the heater in your car driving across the country. You don't have 500 miles anymore. You have about half.
Right. Yeah, because you're using the electricity for other systems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing in Arizona. If
Mhm.
we're going to drive across the country here with 114 degrees and use air conditioner, you cut your mileage in half.
Mhm.
It's not
Yeah.
going to.
Yeah, and then you got to figure in the big cities, right? And you're stuck in traffic, and you're sitting there, and you got your air conditioner running, and while you're stuck there for a while, all you're just seeing is your energy gauge just keep on dropping and dropping, dropping, and then
Yeah.
now you have to have a map system in there that where's your next charging point. And the thing is, though, too, is that these don't charge up like you're filling up a tank of gas. These take like hours and hours to recharge. Like they do have some quick charge things. I think they can charge from an empty to a full, I think, in under 6 hours. So if you got to go home or go somewhere and you're coming home from work and you're halfway home, you find a charging station, you're not going to get home till midnight. It's
Yeah.
just, I
I
just,
just read
I
a
just,
survey.
I was just gonna
Yeah.
say, I don't think people have really thought this whole thing out there. They just sort of felt for the propaganda and the part that the Biden administration and that AOC and that putting around that we have to have all like gasoline vehicles all off the road by 2030 or in the next whatever so many years. But the U.S. military is one of the ones who burns the most amount of fuel oil, more than I think the most of the U.S. with all their fighter planes, all their military all around the world. I think they're one of the biggest polluters of carbon dioxide out of most small countries. But it's never ever looked at that. It's always looked at about the little person down below that's there, the common person. This is what you have to do, but don't worry about us up here at the top of the hill. we're just going to keep on doing what we need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course now the big lie is coming out that it's the cows that are the problem because they fart. And yeah, don't worry about the airplanes that is traveling 600 miles an hour and put a whole bunch of exhaust into the air. But I also read a study that show now that electric cars are worse for the environment
Hmm.
than the diesel and gasoline cars are, because they are using, like in United States and many other countries, they're using coal fire plants, and they put out a lot of stuff to create the electricity that will charge those cars.
Hmm.
Except maybe in some countries like Norway, which have biggest part of their electricity is from water electro plants.
Yeah.
So they might be better off. But then again, they use batteries. How do you get batteries?
Yes,
Yeah,
exact. That that's
that,
that's that's the big thing about why China is in Africa so much, because there is the materials there to go and create the the fuel or the battery systems, right? The natural resources there, and then there's a lot of geopolitics going on in the world here that people may not be aware of about
yeah,
what China's doing, what Russia's doing, what the U.S. is doing, and all these sort of fights. They make it sound that it's, oh well, it's insurrection of people in Ukraine against the Russians. Oh, it's Nazis and stuff like that. No, it's a fight over natural resources and what can be done. Right? Basically the whole thing out of it is these natural resources. And what was it? Just Biden just gave away uh, a whole bunch of oil reserves to a foreign country. It didn't use it for his own country. I always find this sort of interesting how, like, Trudeau did this too as well. He gave away during the pandemic. He gave away like $38 million to his vacation property down in the West Indies to for money and help. Going, why are you sending money to there? Like, there's people here that don't have water still up in the reserves in Ontario, and you're
uh,
giving it down there because he vacations there. So it you have to find things out like that. It's just this sort of, if you read between the lines of what's going on in the world there, like it's crazy. And the cost of what did they say? They give you a little rebate if you get an electronic vehicle, but you're not really getting anything out of that because it's going to be costing you more. The the parts and the time consuming is unbelievable.
the only thing I can see for an electric vehicle is that if you put a solar panel on the roof with a cable that goes out front where you can plug your own car in and have solar energy, then you can probably think maybe that could be an idea to do. But if you
Hmm.
leave town, you're going to have to buy it, which is about the half of the price. Using electricity, charging somewhere else is about half the price of gasoline at this
Hmm.
moment when I look at it. So it still is a better one, but it doesn't help the environment any. And of course, that's because when the government promote it, it's usually a lie or attached to one.
Right.
And this one has both.
Yeah. See, my mom bought a brand new vehicle. I think I can't remember what it is. It's Toyota SUV. It's gas and electric, but she doesn't have to plug it in. It's electric assisted. As the it charges up the battery and helps with that. So she gets like whatever it is, 800
Yeah.
kilometers, whatever on her tank of gas. So it basically halves it out, but she doesn't have to plug it in. That's not like the electric vehicles that they're talking about are like the full charge, no gasoline, period. And I, I think that's the I've said this so many times there. It says we are not at the stage in our technology for what consumer technology where solar, wind, uh, and whatever can sustain your lifestyle that it is today. If you went and dropped off all the petrol fuels and stuff like that, and you put a big, huge tanker ship out in the ocean that ran on solar panels, that thing would never move anywhere. You would never get your goods. All those transport trucks that are bringing all your products and your food to the grocery stores, and the grocery stores that need electricity and that to go and keep their coolers cold, so you can get your cold milk and stuff like that. You would never get anything because you'd have to have your own farm in your backyard.
Hmm. There's so many new technologies or older technologies that's been hidden away that could remedy this problem very simply. And
Mm-hmm.
even for electric cars. I was at my telephone service and I could buy a device about the size, a little bigger than a cell phone,
Mm-hmm.
and I could put the cell phone on it and I could charge the cell phone without being plugged in.
Like one of these guys.
You got one. Hey, how about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Now, I also read about, oh, that was close to a year ago. In a European newspaper, there was an article about this road in China, of all places. When you drove on this road, you could charge the batteries on the car because the charging station was built into the length of the road.
Wow.
So this is technologies that could be used if it was economically feasible, because God knows you can't do anything unless you're making money on it, you know.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so this is available in, there was a short road back then, but they said they were going to develop longer roads where they put this technology in the surface of the road.
Mm-hmm.
So this could be coming. I'm not holding my breath on it for this country yet because there's no money in it, and you don't want that much competition to oil because oil pretty much owns Washington.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, so does big pharma too as well. So that both of those things. I did a story about this. I think it was 2 years ago on Norway, and they're building a highway from the south to north, and it goes all underneath the ground, underneath the fjords and stuff like that. And they're going through, and a lot of the places, the parts where they go under again, where they come up and they go back under again, they're almost at sea level. And I this is the question I posed because I went, it says, okay, if they're building this $51 billion infrastructure highway that is underground, and all the entrances and exits are basically about 5 to 10 feet above sea level, and you have people like this Greta Thunberg and all these green people, these climate activists going like this, saying that, hey, well, the ice caps, polar ice caps are melting, the sea levels are going to rise up about 30, 40 feet. Why would they be going and spending all this money building a system that's going to be flooded underneath the underneath when the sea level rises? Because they're only 10 to 15, 10, 15 feet above sea level right now at each entrance. And I posed that question to a bunch of people, and I said, why do you think they would do that if you think that this global climate change, this global warming thing, and that we're going to be flooded out there in the next 10 years, that we have to stop all carbon. We have to kill off all the cows because they fart too much and all this stuff. You don't see like the correlation and all this stuff, how ridiculous this is. And I just,
Yeah.
and nobody wants to put two and two together. A lot of people don't want to put two and two together.
Well, the good thing about it is that I don't think the sea level will go up that much, if anything at all, because the temperatures have not changed that much except for the increased radiation of the sun that is melting some of the ice.
Yep.
But I think we got bigger problems if it went up 15 feet, because New York will be flooded, London is flooded, Miami is flooded, Hong Kong is flooded.
Right.
4 billion people will be underwater if that were to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's bigger problems than the little piddly road going from the south to the north of Norway, if that were to
Right. Well, I think it was. I think Dan Pena had a thing there, and I think he was actually even he was sort of characterized on the cartoon South Park, and he said the exact same thing. He says, if global warming and the sea level is going to rise in the next 5 to 10 years, like you said, Miami, all these places, New York, and that, do you think that the banks would go and insure these properties, right? There, and all this new construction that's being built there right on the coastline, like they'd be all flooded right out. This is the banks or insurance companies would go and give you even an insurance, take you for insurance for that? No, they wouldn't.
they would never take precautions like that, because it would affect real estate prices, the
Mm-hmm.
economy, and political views. So no, they would not do anything before the were the water was knee deep in New York before they start preparing for anything like that.
Yeah, I always find that I find these things sort of interesting because I watch a lot of different shows and get totally different views, and that's what I like about when I do my show is get we throw everything in the pot, get a whole bunch of different views and stuff like that, and you see how it tastes at the end. And the thing is was that I'm not giving my opinion there, people that are listening there. I'm just giving information, and it's all just information for you just to go and chew on and see where it takes you for that. And I just find it very interesting about how so many people have sort of locked onto this tribalism of green and party in the state. The states is really red versus blue, and it's just amazing to watch this on the news. It's just
Yeah, yeah. And another thing that I was just want to throw in the middle of it while we're talking about it, that there's a track record here, and that is, you remember in New Orleans when the city was flooded because of a Category 4 hurricane that came right up their nose?
mhm,
Okay, so the dikes broke, and they rebuilt it to withhold a Category 3 hurricane. They know there's going to be another Category 4 coming.
right,
And in less than $1 billion, they could have built on from a Category 3 to a Category 4, but they didn't want to spend the money.
right. Right, because there's no money in if there's no money in restoration, right? So if it floods again, there's another whole bunch of money. It's so like I shake my head at this, and I always say this is that when governments go and they ridiculously spend money down the street, it says, what do you do first? It says you fix your house first before you fix the house down the street. You don't let your house go into disrepair. You make sure that it's well and good. That's the way it should work. It doesn't work there because
Yeah.
there's too much corruption in the world, especially in government, big business, world banks, world finance, because they all they care about is the dollar. They don't care about anything else. They always thought this weird. There, all the people that live in Hurricane Alley in the states, they all live in motorhomes. This is
Yeah.
that thing can't sustain any type of wind impact or anything like that. But oh well, that's to each their own on that
Well,
one.
you can only shake your head and walk away when there are psychopaths running the show.
Yeah. Well, we can call them that. There, that's for sure. That's not that's not anything different. The way that
Mhm.
the politics are going in the states there now, I just don't understand. Like, well, at least you're in a good place that you're down there, down to the Gulf Coast, down the Arizona area. So, what is? I'll ask the question since you're down there. What has been the turn of events? Because I haven't heard this very much on the news about the immigration coming up through Central America through Mexico, because that hasn't been on the news there in the last 9 10 months. Or
Oh, yeah.
it was a big topic, and then all of a sudden it's gone.
They don't want to talk about that because it's a sore issue. And the media don't want to talk about it because it hurts the pretend president.
Hmm.
But there's so many new technologies can even help on that. There are technologies that will solve just about every problem we may have that relates to technology.
Hmm.
I I'm going to read something to you because
Okay.
there was a guy named Ben Rich. He was the head of the Lockheed Skunk Works, and in 1978. Now I'm going to repeat that. 1978. He said, we know how to take ET home, and it would not take a lifetime to do it. We
Right.
already have the means to travel among the stars, but these technologies are locked up in black projects, and it would take an act of God to get them out to benefit mankind. He also said, if you have seen it on Star Trek, we already know how to do it.
There you
And
go.
there's an error in the equations, and we know what it is. Maybe that if 10% of that was true, we would have a totally different world.
Oh, for sure. I would see that. And the thing about the Star Trek universe and that is that it became the World Federation or whatever for like it was basically that the Earth had united around and there was sort of like a centralized or a one world government. And then you start thinking about when uh, when Bush was talking about New World Order, one world government, and then you're thinking, oh, this is almost like Nazi Germany when you have a one dictator basically going and controlling what and what you can't do, and this is the we're controlling the higher ups control all the little people. It's actually sort of happening right now, anyways. The higher ups are controlling the little people, but the technology bonus or anything, the niceties of everything is not there. You got so many places that are living in squalor. There's no free. There's no Dr. Bones coming by with his little thing there and give you a little shot. Boom, cancer's cured. Okay, yeah. That stuff doesn't exist yet, or maybe it does. Who knows?
Oh, well, the thing is that we are living such a controlled society. Nothing is free anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been used to saying here in the United States that, we live in a free country. Like they would say in the South, my ass,
Yeah.
because what is actually freedom? When you have to go on bended knee to the government to get permission to go to work in the morning, drive your own car, you
Mm-hmm.
got to have a fishing license to fish in your own pond on your property.
Yeah.
What is free anymore? There is really nothing. And in fact, to show you here how I'm good on sayings, and here, this is something that William Casey, the head of the CIA under Ronald Reagan, he said, when we find he says, when we wake up one day, he said, and find that everything the American public believes is false, we know our disinformation program is working.
Right.
And the same thing as Ben Rich, he talked about if you've seen it on Star Trek, we already know how to do it. They showed us time travel, they show us faster than light travel.
Yeah.
And in fact, we have been on Mars since the mid 1960s. For those of you out there listening here, go ahead and Google this. Google the term Alternative 3. That was the program for the brain drain of engineers and sharp people from Earth to go to Mars and create a colony
Mm-hmm.
in the late 1960s and 70s and 80s.
Right.
People disappeared. Sharp people that had no reason to disappear. They just disappeared, snap, and they were gone. They find their car at the airport and there were no ticket going anywhere. Or they found the car by the ocean and nobody drowned when they searched.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they took them and went to Mars. And we have this short video that you have of it looks like they're descending towards the Mars surface, and there were two people talking, one American and one Russian, because it was a joint program.
Right. Yeah. That comes into a that's another question because I talked about that David Politis there. He did that missing 411 thing there about the amount of people that go missing just in the U.S. alone. There's a lot all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
People that just disappear. There's no trace of them at all, and it can't be all that they were all attacked by a bear and a mountain lion. The
No, some of them got taken by bears, but
right,
probably
but
about
not all of
maybe
them.
1%, maybe.
Yeah, it's just and a lot of them in the part that he did on there, and I know he doesn't like having his name mentioned there. The guy who did that missing 411, but the part is that around most of the U.S. state parks, there is a military base in close proximity to where these state parks are,
Yeah.
and a lot of the, the people that go missing are around the people that are camping at state parks, and maybe that's a good cover story that a bear or mountain lion took them all, where they fell down a well, but. Yeah, I don't. There's a lot of stuff. That's the part about because we were going to touch on this a little bit there, is about the shadiness of the military industrial complex and the government not telling the people the actual truth. They always give this line, well, it's in your best interest for us to keep the secret because it'll cause worldwide panic. If you knew that we're in contact with aliens, that means that, oh, the churches are going to fall. People are going to be running and stealing from Macy's and Canadian Tire, and that is just going to make hooliganism and bedlam. Well, look what's happened there during the pandemic with Black Lives Matter, and before that, when there's something happens, they people go and smash stores and burn down buildings, anyways. What do you think the difference is going to be?
Yeah.
Right. But
Excellent.
okay, go ahead there. Yeah, sorry.
Well, those were terrorist organizations, and they are now being a push to actually have them named like that. But as long as the pretend president is of it, that's not going to happen because they support him. Well,
Mm-hmm.
most of them. But
Well, that's
now we're seeing in Australia there's a revolution, and people are out in the streets everywhere, and they're protesting. And people are protesting in other countries, but not one word here in the United States about what's going on.
Well, the one was interesting there, and this is, I believe it was Denmark, and it's the farmers because the government was going after them with their cattle production and that, and all
Yeah.
the tractors started going through the city. And the best part is that they had a tanker truck show up with liquid manure and backed it up to the front of the government building and opened the tap and started spraying it all over the building. And he says,
Yeah.
if you're going to give us shit, here, you can take this shit. And they covered the whole building in
I
liquid
love it.
manure. You can anybody that wants to check it out, you can check it out on YouTube. There, this video shows the whole video of the tanker being opened up and just covering the whole thing, and all the government employees inside the building going, "Oh, this is so they're attacking us." Well, no, they're making a statement. It was a peaceful protest with some manure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one.
But I
In the
think that
meantime, we need to do what we need to do to keep ourselves safe,
yeah.
to develop our capabilities of our own minds to be able to navigate through this mess that is going on right now
Mm-hmm.
and keep ourselves safe. That's
Oh,
one of the things that we do in the mastermind, and also studying material that you
yeah.
develop your own capabilities of the mind to control your situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I want to mention one of the books I've written here. I've got it sitting on the shelf out there: Spiritual Science, Higher Conscious Thinking, and How to Access the Universal Consciousness.
Oh,
In
awesome.
there, I talk about a lot of the things that we really need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I teach people how to use their minds in ways that you normally would think would be impossible,
Mm-hmm.
including reversing the aging process. Because the Nobel Prize was given for that knowledge in 2009. Three doctors got the Nobel Prize for discovering an enzyme that will reverse your aging process. And the
Wow.
science show it is real. I explain in the book how to do that, and you can read about it, and it's fairly simple. I found some really old people. One of them died from an accident at the age of 254 years old, and he was a martial art instructor for as long as anybody had known, and the government verified his age. So yes,
Uh,
these things are possible, and I'm doing well. I don't know exactly about everything he did, but as much as I know about it, I'm doing the same thing, and it seems to be working for me.
oh, that's awesome, Augie. It says we're almost running out of time there, and you know what? How about you just retell them again there where they can find you, and what was the name of that book again that you just mentioned there that so
Yeah,
people can check?
in fact, I'll show you here. It is. Oh well, that didn't go too well.
Not showing up on your green
Yeah,
spiritual.
spiritual science, higher conscious thinking, and how to access the universal consciousness.
Okay, that's perfect. And they can also check you out. I'll get it right this time.
broadcastteamalpha.com. And
BroadcastTeamAlpha.com.
if you go to the website at broadcastteamalpha.com, go into the picture gallery also. There is 5,000 unbelievable pictures of things that should not exist, but does.
Right. And that's the thing there is that the whole part is there. People do your own research. We're giving you little ingredients out there, maybe a spark of flavor that might get you going and thinking a different way. Like I say, learn something new every day. I planted a garden, being the farmer in the dell, and you know what? Just look a little bit more. There's things you can do for yourself that you don't have to be dependent on the government or somebody else. And that's the lesson I guess out of today, or the information. So I want to thank you very much there, Augie, for being on here. I really appreciate it. And you know what? We'll check you all next week there here on the Delicious Recipe, Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, UPRN. Have a good night.